Checkmate, bruh. Thought you had me. So anytime you go to Vegas, bet on black.
The winner of Survivor Marquesas.
Hey, what's up, fam? And welcome back again to Recap Kickback. I'm Chappell, your host here to talk to you about something that we have been telegraphing for a few weeks. People have been saying, Chappell, why don't you talk about reality TV more on Recap Kickback? I said, well, I'm looking for the right spot. We started doing the I Love New York and Flavor of Love coverage with me and Chantel, but we needed to get into some of our iconic competition reality shows from the perspective of the Black contestants who didn't quite get their shine, or at least not to our liking. And so with me to talk about this, the author of this entire project and the author of their substack, Bet on Black, it's the CEO, Gia Worthy. Gia, welcome back.
Hello, Chappell. Now, normally we are here to talk about Abbott Elementary. However, this is how this friendship has formed, that we love talking about Black people, period. Like that, I don't need to add anything else in there, but more specifically, semicolon, we do love talking about the Black contestants in reality TV. And we have decided to make it an official project to add to the Recap Kickback, not lexicon, that's not the right word, Rolodex, something like that.
Rolodex, universe.
Yes. Yeah, universe, the cinematic universe of Recap Kickback. So taking from the Bet on Black substack, or I guess doing a little spinoff from that, which is a spinoff of Sean Rector's Bet on Black iconic confessional, greatest confessional of all time, in my opinion. And we are doing Bet on Black, the podcast, where each episode we are going to be covering a Black contestant in a reality TV show. I think our primary objective is going to be, we're going to be covering a lot of Black winners of these shows, but I know we both have favorites that have not won or are iconic for different reasons other than winning. So I'm sure we will dive into some other great Black contestants as well. But speaking of Sean Rector, this episode will be about Vecepia and her win on Survivor Marquesas. And I think this is a great way to start off before we are getting ready for Survivor 50.
Yes, great introduction, Gia. I think that for a lot of us, we've watched a bunch of Black contestants go on shows, and a lot of them have done really well. A lot of them have won, but initially watching a lot of these reality shows meant watching the Black contestants either get limited screen time, get pigeonholed into some type of stereotype, and then, they would lose unceremoniously. Now, we have to celebrate the winners, but because we don't have a winner all the time or very often in a lot of these shows, we're going to celebrate the standout contestants too, whether they're standout because they should have won in our eyes, or they could have won, or they were just big personalities who really dictated how we enjoyed the show. And so, as Gia said, we're talking about Vecepia because Vecepia, Gia, in my opinion, is a Black contestant from Survivor, a Black winner for Survivor who has never got her just due in the community. Yes. Or from Survivor in a historical sense. So for me, Vecepia is always going to be someplace that if we want to start highlighting people, we can always start with V.
Yeah. And listen, we love Marquesas. We love Survivor Marquesas, but we specifically love Survivor Marquesas because of the story of Sean and Vecepia and really how both of them redefined the game. And I know the most obvious way to point to that is through the fall of the Road to 4, which we will definitely talk about in this episode. But really, we're going to get it deep into the lore and some of the facts about Vecepia's game and really highlight the things that made her the winner of Survivor Marquesas. This was not an accident. She was a very intentional, strategic player. And while a lot of people find her to either be underrated or even some people saying undeserving, I think that is nonsense. And we're going to just talk about all the reasons why we love this win so much and why Vecepia is a fantastic winner that deserves way more praise that she gets, both from Survivor production and in the Survivor fandom.
I was listening to an interview Vecepia did with Erica, the winner of Survivor 41, and she was saying that after winning Survivor Marquesas, she was only given a call back about her interest in playing as an all-star for the first Survivor All-Star season. Up until recent years, she had never heard anything back at all, including Winners at War, where she's one of, if not like, well, she is the only Black female option for a winner that spot at Winners at War season 40. And so for her to not get any consideration, even just to see how she was doing, you know, if she was interested in it at all, it's a travesty, because like she will point out that she is one of the first Black contestants to win any reality show. Not only is she the first one to win Survivor, but prior to Survivor Marquesas season 4 of Survivor, there weren't that many other shows or opportunities for to do well and succeed in. You know, we don't get a Black winner for Big Brother for another 20 some odd years after that. So, you know, almost. And so it, to me, it's very disappointing that Vecepia, who could mean so much to the legacy of the show and to other people who go on to play the game and to try to compete in these games, she's never ever gotten her flowers in the way that I feel like she should have.
Yeah, and you know, we have watched and rewatched Marquesas multiple times, and we have done a podcast episode with the great Christine Palin about our favorite Marquesas episode as well, that being the fall of the Row 2-4. So I think that we are about as much of an expert one can be on the Marquesas season without actually having played that season, right? And you know, not to toot our own horn, but we know what we're talking about here. But beep beep. But if you really like, it's not even just that Vecepia, and I believe Vecepia is the first individual Black winner of any reality TV show at this point, because I think there's only one other player that may have won something in like a team on the challenge, and Queen, and but other than that, like Vecepia is the first individual winner, not like a winner within a team that we have gotten in reality TV canon for Black contestants. And the way that she won is also a bit of a game changer in itself. We'll go a little bit into Vecepia's legacy later and what it means to us. But when we look at the first 3 seasons of the show and the winners that came from that season, the formula for winning Survivor at that point is to be on the tribe that wins the most immunity challenges, get to the merge, eliminate the players within the minority tribe from the pre-merge, and then once it's down to the remaining players that are all on the tribe with the larger numbers, they will have their own little alliances and start playing from, a lot of people would say, playing with honor and integrity, or just voting for who they feel is most deserving to stay. It was a lot different than the Survivor that we know now. And Marquesas is the first instance of this where we actually get a majority flip onto with the players that are from the minority tribe of Maramu and some of the outlying players of Row 2 that are not within the core alliance in there. And it's this decision to flip on the majority alliance, which was unheard of at the time, that really carves out the path to Vecepia's win. And as the numbers dwindle, we really start to see her making intentional choices to do what is best to secure her own win. So I'm really excited to talk about how we get to a Vecepia win, everything she does. I'm really excited for one segment in particular that we're going to talk about later. But I think it's time that we start talking about Survivor Marquesas. Are you ready, Chappell?
Yes, I have a lot of feelings about Survivor Marquesas just because of, well, we'll get into that for sure.
But I know exactly.
You know.
I know exactly what your issue may be. Maybe a little English.
A little bit. A little. Yeah. There's some other people who deserve some whackings too, but you know,
there's a few. We will deal with them later. So I'm going to start really quick with some basic facts about Marquesas the season as a whole, just to put people in the context of where we are in the Survivor universe and also kind of the world, because that does have a big impact actually on Marquesas in particular. So the filming dates for Survivor Marquesas are November 12th, 2001 to December 20th, 2001. This is important. And then the dates for the season air from February 28th to 2002 to May 19th, 2002 as well. So we're almost at the 24th anniversary at the time of filming this of the premiere of Survivor Marquesas, which is pretty cool. Marquesas itself, the island, is a archipelago. Is that how you say it?
Archipelago, yeah.
Yeah, that one. That. I don't think I've ever actually said that word out loud. Ever.
It's one of those ones that once you learn it, you kind of have to just throw it out because it's a fun one to say. Like, oh yeah, that nice archipelago over there. Love that.
That one. I'll just point to you when I need to say it again. It's in French Polynesia, but the reason that the island is, or that this season takes place in Marquesas, is because originally the season was going to be Survivor Jordan. They were planning to have it set within the country of Jordan and really amp up the stakes. I think if you look at kind of the order of the last few seasons of Survivor, it seems like they're really going for like tougher terrain each time. Unfortunately, after the September 11th attacks, they decided to completely remove themselves from that region due to rising tensions in there. And then they moved the location to Marquesas. And that's also, I think it kind of plays into how difficult some of the season is with just the living conditions, because some of the things that they go through are very unique to the season, like in particular the no-nos and the resources that are available to them kind of explains the decision that we got as a result of that. But they end up filming in Marquesas, and there are 16 contestants at the start of the game.
I remember where I was. I literally remember watching this when I was a kid, and I was a Survivor fan from almost the first second that I laid eyes on the show. It wasn't that like I was like enthralled with the strategy. I think everybody at that time was just kind of like, what is this, you know?
Yeah.
And so we were watching, and by the time season 2 came around, it was like the biggest show on television. Season 2 broke records in a way that season 1 was like kind of warming people up to this concept. You know, I watched all of season 2 and I love it. Season 3 I'm in because of the locales largely. And so Survivor Marquesas says, okay, we're going back to the beach. And I was like, oh, okay, that'll be fun. Because I just spent so much time with these people in Africa, which was crazy dangerous. In Australia, where the it must be still to this day one of the hardest seasons of Survivor to just survive. And so I was like, it's gonna be good to be able to come back to like more tropical weather. But even then, Gia, like you said, it wasn't great. You know, like the living conditions in the Marquesas with the no-nos and all that kind of stuff. Those people were out there struggling.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to watch.
Caller, you are on the air. Yeah, what you got to say?
I just like to say they're about 45,000 times worse than mosquitoes, and they're the most miserable thing I've ever encountered in my entire life. There's a little bug that's about 1,000 times more vicious than a mosquito, and it's about the size of a flea. And they itch like crazy.
Yeah, you can even see it as we get to the latest seasons or the latest stages of this season, that especially when we get to like final 6, final 5, these people are too tired to do anything at this point. Like they can't strategize. They don't want to do challenges. They're just like waiting for something to happen at this point because they are beyond exhausted. But we are starting to get a little more into the groove of what Survivor is going to be here. I think most people would agree that, you know, if you poll some of our like day one Survivor fans, what the most difficult seasons are, it's usually like Africa, the Australian outback, maybe Gabon, Korong, and I think Marquesas, just for the pure uncomfortability of a lot of this season, is a big, would definitely add into that. But when we start this season, this is one of the things I really like about Marquesas is that, and also why I like the 2-tribe format, if CBS is listening, which I'm sure they are. And that we really get two different personalities from the two tribes. Like, it really feels like these are two distinct groups. We start with two tribes, the Rotu tribe, which is the one that becomes the majority. This is like the love tribe. They're good at all the challenges. They have a real workhorse mentality on here. So that's Rotu. We're not talking about Rotu right this minute, because like they're there more for character development for our lovely folks over on Maramu, which is one of my favorite tribe names to say. It's so fun. And this is also the tribe that Vecepia and Sean start on. And Chappell, I have to say, let me know if I'm being a little too upfront here. Is Maramu the first disaster tribe we ever get?
Okay. I mean, it's a good point, right? So, yeah, we misspoke earlier. I think they're the yellow tribe, right? So Maramu ends up going to what, 3 different tribal councils or whatever, pretty much back to back.
Yeah.
In a world where, I think we're used to seeing maybe like a back and forth, right? I think that we will eventually see the tribe swap and like things shake things up. But the way it was going, it did feel like if they kept it going a little bit longer, we might not have seen too much more of the Maramu tribe. And maybe it was just because they were the personality hires, they're the fun tribe. Like Rotu's cool, but they're not Maramu.
Realistically, Chappell, if we were on this season, we would be on Maramu for vibes alone.
Well, yeah, that, and they put all the black people over there.
They did put the black people on Maramu. I do have a theory about this. So the original iteration of Maramu, like what I think we'll say, like kind of how Vecepia says it, we work and then we chill. Like they love their chill time. They love these are the personality hires, right? But I think, and then after the first 3 immunity challenges, which Maramu loses all of them, and we'll talk about episode 3 in a second, but I don't think when they put these tribes together that production was expecting these first 3 votes to go the way that they did, because the personality hires really come together here to say, like, we are going to stay with the people we like, and I don't care if this person is an asset to me, right? Iconic of
right
them. After episode 4, they do a tribe swap, but I think even if they just kept this going and Maramu continues to lose in the iteration that they have, I think Sean and Vecepia are still good no matter what.
Probably, right? They get swapped away. So it's like, had they stayed, it would have been what? Sean, Vecepia, Gina, and Rob. And so yeah, I can definitely see them surviving that. Like, let's say they turn on, I mean, Sarah's next, Gina's next after that. So then I mean, it'd probably be some combination of Rob, Sean, and Vecepia coming through again. And as we know, once the swap happened, or even coming in at a minority, Vecepia is going to be able to outplay Sean and Rob because they don't know how to play nice. And that's one of the things that we learned. We learned a lot of strategy from Vecepia and Marquesas in general. We learn a lot of strategy and like ways that you can approach Survivor for the person who's not the Kobe types, or or even like the Richard Hatch types, right? Like this was a show or season where a different type of gameplay is not necessarily highlighted, but it is really what dictates the way the winner is chosen here, right? If Vecepia does things differently, maybe she's voted out earlier, and you can kind of track where she, the things that she does that are positive versus the way her counterparts do it and how they don't make it out of those situations. Like she legit is surviving round to round in a way that in the first few seasons, it wasn't about that. These people were like, we're in the majority, thus we're going to cut down the minority at this point, and she's like, I'm in the minority. How do I make it to the end? And that's a very real part of Survivor.
It's the intention in which she plays that while it is hard to capture on camera, right? And I think this is the thing that really kills people's perceptions of Vecepia's game, is that they do not give Vecepia as the winner the confessionals that she deserves. And it's very obvious that there are some favorites within this season for production standpoint, and it is not Vecepia, even though she is the winner. but that does not mean that the game that she plays is not with intention, or that she's just happy to be there. No, she really is surviving round to round here. One of the biggest surprises in the early part of Marquesas is the hunter vote, and this is really where it becomes apparent here, where it's like, this is not Colby's Survivor, okay? This is not Richard Hatch's Survivor. Like, this is not your mama's Survivor, okay? We are in a new season now. We're voting out the challenge beasts when we see fit, or the supposed challenge beast. I don't know if you can really call someone a challenge beast when they lose all their immunity challenges, but you know, that, I mean, that's just me. That I'm just speculating, you know, like, we can't all be MC from Survivor 49 who should have been on Survivor 50. What? Who said that? I think that's really one of like the first episodes where it becomes, you know, we see why Peter and Patricia get voted out as they do, right? You know, it's a very classic early boots in the old school seasons. Hunter is really that first shock of, oh, they're thinking about things other than, is this person providing around camp? Is this person winning us challenges? Or could this person be useful in challenges in the future? And I think that's why we get some really hot-headed reactions from Hunter's ally Gina, because it just goes against what she feels the Survivor canon is, there, what Survivor logic is at this point in time.
Yeah, and then this is again how you make it if you are not the Hunter / Colby type, right? Like, there are a lot of people who are cast on the show because they're outdoorsy people, they're athletic people, but Survivor is supposed to be a game where anybody can win, right? Like, you're out there and you can use your wits. It's not about being the most athletic person. It's about outwitting, outplaying, and outlasting. And you got to use whatever you got. And so we will see that with boots like the Hunter boot, it will go and define the way the game is played. There's plenty of times where the favorite going into the game is just like a carbon copy of a Hunter type. And then they don't win because you know that person is a threat. And this game is about voting out threats. And so the Maramu tribe, they get the first kind of like crash course in how do we get rid of the threats. We're not doing this to keep the tribe strong. That's conventional wisdom, but we got to make it. If the tribe is strong and we get voted out, that doesn't do us any favors. I don't care if the tribe is weak or not. I got to make it further. And so for them, they were able to really capitalize on that. And we do lose Hunter along the way, which, like you said, was a shock to the world.
Yeah. So I didn't watch Marquesas in the real time, but when we were, especially like this, not this past summer, but the summer before that, was when Christine Palin recapped Marquesas, and we really got and she dived really deeply into kind of the reactions to the fandom at the time as Marquesas was airing. And this was a really big turning point in Survivor, and a little bit of a hint of what the rest of the season is going to look like for us. That, like, this might not be the most surprising thing that happens this season, starting with the tribe swap. We get first of all, this is the dumbest format for a tribe swap.
Worst
possible.
Ever.
I'd have to really look through like how each tribe swap is done, but I think this is at least like bottom tier, like bottom 3 ways that they've ever done tribe swaps. I think this is probably the worst one though, because they do this thing where they swap tribes, but they keep the number of the tribes the same, meaning that they're unbalanced. So the tribe swap of the new Maramu tribe is 4 people at that point, I think. Or no,
it's
5 people.
It's 5 people to 7 people, I believe.
No, it's 8, I think, because they're on.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's 5 to 8. Yeah, it's 5 to 8.
Which is insane for a tribe swap, and it only gets worse because they lose. Our tribe of 5 loses the very next immunity challenge, and that's where we lose yet another Maramu OG member in Sarah. Queen.
It's so dumb. It's like, you could have tried to even them out. And I mean, Survivor will do this later on. They will like, okay, well, it's not an exact even split, so we'll sit somebody out, give them immunity for the round, you know, or send them to Exile Island or something like that. And then we'll have these 2 even tribes compete, and then we'll bring in that person who was the odd person out to fill in that last spot. I think notably in Panama, they do that with Bruce Kenegai. I believe he's the person who is sent away and then he comes back, and joins the losing tribe that time. So this is the beginning of Survivor trying to figure these things out, and it was a bad move. Like if Mara Amu didn't need anything else going against them, it definitely wasn't come in with a numbers disadvantage in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I will say it makes for some really interesting dynamics. And obviously when you're watching Marquesas as a story, we get some really entertaining moments in this portion of the game, but the format of it makes absolutely no sense. Mm-hmm. But Chappell, you brought up something when you were talking about how Vecepia was really surviving round to round that really got me thinking. During the tribe swap, this is really where, if you are paying attention, especially if you are watching now knowing that Vecepia wins, I would say this is really when her winner arc starts showing, in that we see that she is an adaptable player. She is here to play, and she is here to play smart. She is not here to stick to a specific code on how she's going to play and, and ruin her chances of $1 million if it's against kind of how she wants to play, which I think is how we see her comrades in suffering over here, Boston Rob and Sean Rector. They're very much set in their ways of how they want the game to be played, who they want to spend their time with. And it makes for some funny moments and some really not great moments from Boston Rob in particular. But Vecepia is really the one that is like trying to adapt her game to appease the tribe that she has been swapped onto, which if you are playing Survivor today just seems like Survivor 101 on here. But Vecepia is really one of the first people to do this intentionally because she knows this will at least get by her a few more rounds in the game over Rob and Sean.
He's just laying around. He doesn't want to try to fit in at all. I'm definitely almost positive he's going to be the first to go. And they'll probably take me out second because V's a lot better at, you know what I'm saying?
It's cool to finally get a chance to talk with all of you. Yeah, totally. Get to know you all.
Yeah, she has all those sound bites talking about how she doesn't want any drama. And that seems like something that you wouldn't have to say aloud on Survivor, but there are so many Survivor contestants who are about drama, like when there's something to pop off, they're ready. They can get loud too. What the F, like, and in those moments, it doesn't always work out for them. For Vecepia, there's scenes where she's telling Sean and Boston Rob, like, hey, we can talk game all you want, but when it starts to get drama, leave me out of it because that's bad for gameplay. Vecepia will go out. I was listening to a bunch of her interviews in preparation for this, and she will go out into the woods and kind of have a come to Jesus meeting, she calls it, where she talks to herself about like, and praise about like, how her morals are conflicting with the game, right? Like how she wants to play as somebody with faith, but also not kind of hinder herself to not be able to play this game. When she talked to God, she felt like God was telling her, look, I didn't send you out there to play a Christian game. You went out there to play Survivor, which is not that. And so you go out there and play the game in front of you. The people might not like you for it, but they're gonna give it to you if you play the game. And she does. And a part of playing the game is pretending to be nice, pretending to get along with people, making friends with people you normally wouldn't make friends with, playing under the radar, not putting a target on your back. And Vecepia shows all of that. Again, she's in the minority in ways that Richard Hatch wasn't, in ways that Tina Wesson wasn't, Ethan Zahn almost never in the minority at all. Like Vecepia is coming in and she's going into enemy territory by the time they get to the merge. Her and Sean are the only two people once Boston Rob gets voted out from their original tribe left. And so for them, by just making it to the end is already a task, but then getting all those votes as well against people who were up against you from day one, it's going to be hard to do. And Vecepia is able to accomplish all of that.
Yes. And can we talk briefly before we get into the merge in particular about just Vecepia's relationship with faith in the game? Because I love how she frames her faith and how it can be complementary to the game of Survivor. I myself have a very complicated relationship with religion in general, just for many different reasons. But I love to see how Vecepia navigates the game as a woman of faith, where I think a lot of players within the game and also just in future seasons, they almost want to shame somebody for being a person of faith playing the game, and that should this person pull one over on you, that it is automatically them using faith as like a crutch or using faith as a weapon. And I don't think Vecepia really does that here in the way that we traditionally think of it as. I think Vecepia has her own relationship with faith. She has this really beautiful confessional, or not confessional, but she has this beautiful moment in the first tribal council that she attends where she says she finds strength in Jesus. And that's how she is able to get through some of the more difficult moments in the game. But, you know, other people on her tribe may find faith in the stars or Buddha or in a different faith or in a different, you know, in multiple gods or something like that. You know, I'm paraphrasing here, but I love the way that she frames it as, this is a way that I have come here for a goal. My goal is to make it to the end and win. And she achieves that, but that's not contradictory to her religion or to her faith. And it's certainly not something that is a crutch in her game. This is how she finds strength, but that doesn't mean other people are not going to find strength in other ways, because people absolutely will. They do it all the time. So I just really love how her and Sean, because this is one of the other things that connected them in the game, I really liked seeing how they were able to frame their faith as a beacon of strength in the game and a way to guide them through. But it wasn't their whole personality either. It was just another facet of them as strategic players. So I loved it.
She had a lot of good commentary on her faith. So did Sean, but they also had a lot of commentary on being Black. I think that's another reason why it's a good starting point for this series, is talking about Vecepia, because Vecepia and Sean were probably the first reality TV contestants that were in a competition reality show that I can remember having conversations like this. We definitely had conversations like this in the real world as early as season 1. These conversations have to happen, and when you cover them up or you don't highlight them, then people aren't able to learn. And I'm not saying it's the job of these Black contestants to teach, but I think that when people are heavily influenced by what they see on television, it's important to show positive interactions with people that you normally wouldn't see depicted on television like that, or even just like more enlightening conversations. And they're talking about throughout how it's more difficult for them to play this game because they are the two Black people, and so immediately they're looked at as a pair.
It's nice to bond with somebody who understands. A lot of things are cultural. You know, there's certain things with Black people, we don't even have to finish thoughts, and we already know where we are. Aside from us, the other 5 are different, but the commonality bond that bonds them is that.
And by the end of this, you know, they will be accused of being like a tight alliance that will never break. And like for them, they're saying like, yeah, we might be now because we're battle tested and we've been together this entire time. We've had to vote together this entire time, but we did not decide to align together because we are Black. You know, we all possess multitudes and we can play with whoever we want to, but they have to play 2 different games, Sean says. He's like, we have to play the game that's in front of us, but we have to play another psychological game about like how we present ourselves in front of them, the other people who we are playing with, but also in front of the television cameras. You know, we're a reflection of the Black community just by being on the show. Season 1, we saw Ramona called lazy because she got sick. We saw Jervis called a pervert because he had a kid while he's out on the island. You know, these are like the silly things that they use. I think they called Nick lazy in future Senator Nick,
future district attorney. I forget what state. I forget. He's a district attorney of one of the 50 states.
Right.
I think a big one.
Pick a state, but they call these people and they let your 15 minutes of screen time really dictate who you are. And so it was important for them to speak about these things, but also to kind of show you that this edited show is not going to depict all aspects of them and that they're more than just, reality TV contestants at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I also, one of the things I really like about Survivor as a concept in the show is that we get some really strong Black pairs and Black relationships within the show, whether it's an alliance or a duo in there. And it might not be intentional. Like Vecepia and Sean do a really great job of explaining their journey throughout Survivor as the only 2 Black contestants on their season. We have seen other duos before that don't get the same amount of screen time or the same attention and care because those players didn't end up winning. So we're thinking like Jervis and Ramona, they bonded during Ramona's duration in the game. Nick and Alicia have both commented on it outside of the game that, you know, they got along really well. And there's the first of all, justice for them because that tribe,
worst tribe ever.
Just look at the tribe they spent their time on, you know, like Nobel Peace Prize isn't enough for them. And you know, like how it was important to them to at least have respect for one another because and to get through the game together essentially because they were the 2 Black people on their season. And don't even get me started on Africa and how Clarence was treated during his time in the show. In Africa,
nonetheless.
Yes.
Treated that man like that in Africa.
In Kenya. They were in Kenya.
Kenya. How dare you?
We will have a Clarence Black special at some point. I know we will. It will be, we will be there. So, you know, TBD when, but it'll happen. But
absolutely,
this is really because Vecepia wins and Sean also goes very far in the game, right? He gets 5th place. Their relationship is a plot line throughout the entire story throughout the entire season, because you can't afford it not to be because your winner is there and they're 1/3 of the final 5, essentially. You know, you can't avoid that. So I love seeing their journey as individual players, but also as pairs. And really one of the only times that we see them come to a different conclusion about how their game should move forward is at the merge vote. This is where Boston Rob is voted out. And Sean votes with Rob in solidarity, but Vecepia decides to vote with the majority. She knew he was going. Her vote would not have changed anything had she voted with Rob here. And in the next episode, she says that she told Rob before they were going to tribal council that she was voting for him.
I pulled Rob aside and I told him that I was going to be voting for him, and he was okay about it, but I wanted him to hear it from me, and I didn't want him to think that I was trying to do anything behind his back, especially being a previous Mara Amu and having an agreement with him at one time.
And again, another example of this is why Vecepia wins, because this is the type of thing she's thinking about throughout the game.
The show isn't highlighting Vecepia as a strategist, though. I think very early on, they were kind of counting this side out. And so, you know, they're like really like leaning into some of the bigger characters, Boston Rob being one of them. But with him leaving right here, we are going to have to see Vecepia and Sean step into a more strategic role because they have been on both tribes. They've played with you know, the yellow buff, the blue buff, and now they're about to switch to the purple buff. By the end of the game, Sean and Vecepia have been on the tribe with every single person in the game, and that's not common in Survivor. A lot of people will only swap to certain you know, certain tribes or at the merge maybe, or they, you know, and there'll be people that they haven't seen or haven't met by the end game. You know, we see now you can be on the jury and be voting for somebody you've never actually played a second of the game with. Vecepia and Sean have played with everybody, and so now they really have to put their strategic chops to use and play a social game to allow them to kind of infiltrate. But it is the best flip that we will see in Survivor history, and it's going to be referenced from now until the end of time, and it's because of Vecepia, Sean, Kathy, and then, you know, they drag over these 2 other people who are just taking forever to pick up on what's going on here.
Malaya and Pascal is who we're talking about here when we get to the flip of the road to 4, would almost rather lose than work with 2 Black people. They don't say it's because they're Black, but it's worded very strongly in that direction.
Yeah. I mean, we see Pascal at different points in the game saying like, I'm fine losing to John Carroll. Like, I'm fine. If I have to go to the end and this is John Carroll's story, then that's just who I'm going to be.
And no matter the bigger stink you make about things, the more vulnerable you are. So Being voted out fifth only is fine. She feels if you make too many waves, she said, Kathy, if you talk any more about that, you're going to get voted off. I don't want to be a pawn to help Tammy and John go to the top. I want it to be even.
I'm not aligning myself with Sean and V. Here's the deal.
It should be fair.
Well, this game's not fair.
I mean, it just really sucked. Somebody who did nothing beat me.
Well, that's exactly what I told Lee. I said, it is so important to me that somebody like Sean doesn't make it to the finals. I said, John deserves it. Sean would be an embarrassment.
Lee and Pascal, I think, are really supporting my success in this game and are really rooting for me. And knowing that you can rely upon those two people, I mean, it's like 2 free passes. It's an amazing experience. I mean, it's actually kind of mind-blowing.
But when he talks about the potential of losing to Vecepia and Sean, he's talking about how disgusting it makes him feel.
It's giving that meme from Community where it's like, I can excuse losing at 6th place, but I draw the line at losing to a black person and going further in the game.
And I think that it's not really talked about, but in those moments, imagine how hard it is to play the game where you have somebody who's like, I'd rather lose. And then you have two people who are saying, no, I want to win, but these people would rather lose than play with me. You know, You would think that any situation in Survivor, at least I have people who are lobbying to win the game. Maybe they don't, like if Pascal said, I think if we go with them, we lose 100% of the time, whereas we go with John, maybe we can beat them, then okay, fine.
Yeah.
But the idea is like, no, I'd rather lose to John than lose to them than to even work with them. And that's a big plot point. It's not just like an offhand statement.
No,
It is the driving conversation in the fall of the Road to 4 is that like Pascal is fine with losing. And they have to drag him and Nalia. Like if you want, because like the show doesn't really give one person credit. I think history kind of gives credit to Kathy a lot of times, but without Sean and Vecepia being able to like really be in on this flip, it doesn't go anywhere. And you need Kathy to get Pascal and Aaliyah on board. And I wonder why. Why do we need Kathy to do this? Like Pascal should be seeing. Pascal should be seeing the numbers and knowing that he's about to go out, and he does.
Mind you, the numbers literally play out in front of them with the coconut chop. Like they are quite literally having the numbers displayed in front of you at this point, and it's not clicking. Well, it is clicking, but he'd rather lose to the Road 2 members than Sean and Vecepia.
So the coconut chop challenge is, I think, the first time we see like a pecking order challenge in a Survivor where
I believe
Yeah, and it's very clear that the Road 2 has a strong 4 who plan on going to the end together, and they kind of do it in an arrogant and kind of like braggadocious way as they're doing this challenge, and it does highlight to everybody else where they stand. Now this happens, and the Road to 4 being a strong 4 is only beneficial if the other people don't realize that they're not a part of your plans.
Day 24, the immunity challenge was a game of elimination, but Sean, Vecepia, and Kathy saw it as the Alliance's arrogant display of the pecking order, showing who they would be voting out next.
This is the order how it's gonna go. Swear we could take them, man. Swear we could.
Vecepia and Sean are in no disillusion to think that they're a part of these plans. They come in from a separate tribe. They're the final 2 people that they've known since day 1. They know their goose is cooked. Pascal and Nalia are kind of like, yeah, our goose is probably cooked, but it's okay. I guess that's just the game we were forced to play here. And Kathy
if only there was something we could do.
Yeah, and Kathy is a little bit more self-interested where she's like, nah, I don't like that. So let me go to the people who I can work with. And that's how we get this flip. It's Kathy, Sean, and Vecepia all having the conversation. Then they having to bring in Nalia. And I'm pretty sure that was Vecepia talking to Nalia, kind of like as, you know, the more diplomatic one between her and Sean. And then getting Nalia to finally get Pascal to flip. And we see where the majority alliance is now broken. And our front runner, John Carroll, is voted out.
Checkmate, bruh. Thought you had me. So anytime you go to Vegas, bet on black.
Yeah. And this is one of, in my opinion, I don't even think this is an opinion. I think this is an objective fact. This is one of the best episodes in Survivor history. It is definitely one of the most defining moments in Survivor history. Like, this is a game changer for the entire franchise itself about what is possible in Survivor. Like, you do not have to play with the people you start the game with if you do not want to. And it seems like such a foreign concept that, like, you would have to spell this out for people now. But this is kind of the bread and butter of early Survivor, this idea of people that would not get along in the real world doing something unconventional and working together, even if they don't want to.
You know, and it just also goes to show you kind of uphill battle that Black people have. The numbers are right there, but sometimes people would rather shoot themselves in the foot and then do something that's beneficial to them if it benefits Black people.
We can learn a lot from that in current times as well. Oh, not to, gesture to everything around us, but it's lots of lessons that can be learned here.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is not the last time in Marquesas that Pascal's going to give me a headache, right? And nowhere is this more frustrating. And I think the episode that perfectly highlights how difficult this game can be for Black players than A Tale of Two Cities, which is the title of Sean's boot episode. So after John Carroll is voted out, the next 3 episodes are very quick, very, like, in short summary, the other 3 members of Row 2's Majority Alliance are all voted out. And now we are at 5. They have dismantled the other side completely. And they have the pair of Nalea and Pascal, who have said they are never voting each other out at all. They have said this publicly. They have said it in tribal council. They have said it to all of their tribe members. They have not made this a secret whatsoever. And then on the other side, we have Vecepia and Sean, who have not voted together every single time, who have disagreed about how to play the game. And then Kathy is in the middle and will have to side with one of these duos in the next vote. And so these pairs are the 2 cities in question, but it turns into something bigger, in my opinion, here, where Vecepia and Sean bring up the fact that, the fact that they're the only 2 Black players in the game probably makes people think that they are essentially like Nalea and Pascal have the same relationship to each other that Nalea and Pascal does. And like they're their counterpoints in the same level of loyalty. And they've both said together and separately that this is not true. And it turns into this big argument.
You came out your mouth and said, I'm not voting for Pap. Pap is not voting for me. Don't assume that V and I, but you're assuming if there's something underneath. We're all being truthful. I already told you, V and I had our differences, and we still have our differences. So don't sit there and say, I think people are not saying stuff, because that's an insult.
We haven't walked around saying, okay, we're the 2 African Americans, we're sticking together.
When Nalea tried to interject that there's something going on with V and myself, and I had to tell her, just because V and I are African Americans, we share a bond that you won't really be able to understand. Does that mean we're an automatic alliance? No. Because a few times V has flipped the script on me and let me down.
V and Sean, they're trying to make Kathy feel like she's a swing vote. I mean, they've got an agenda, and I don't give a damn about their agenda. And I'm just kind of fed up of hearing their crap about, them not being in an alliance.
Like, Pascal, it's been implied, Pascal, like we have your T clocked. But we get to Final 5, or the Final 5 Tribal Council, and guess who Kathy sides with after all this information is brought out here? Chappell, just guess.
Well, she goes with Pascal and Nalea and votes out Sean here. And so the question is, like, Kathy, why would you go with a pair that's never going to break up versus a pair that is presenting the side that they would break up? But Gia, I've always landed on, I don't care if Vecepia and Sean are telling the truth or not. What I care more about is that they have the wherewithal to do this. Look at the difference in gameplay. Pascal is saying, this is an unbreakable pair I'll never turn on. That is bad Survivor. Like, if we're talking about, is Vecepia a good player, just look at how she handles these situations where it's her versus someone else, right?
Yeah.
It's like when it's her versus Rob Mariano. Rob Mariano's like, I can't play nice. I can't be fake. Vesepia's like, okay, I'll play nice and be fake. Let me get by one more round. Right. And here, Pascal is taking the worst route. Now, Kathy does make this decision and go with Pascal and Aaliyah, but I think that conventional wisdom says do what Vecepia is doing here. It is, hey, we're not aligned. You could be with one of us. Maybe one of us will vote him out. There's a crack over here. Come with us where you have a little wiggle room, as opposed to come to this side that is ironclad. And so, like I said, the conversation about whether or not Kathy is picking the right side is a separate conversation than what I'm interested in, because I just like to highlight what Vecepia does right here. Let's say, because there's a real world where Sean and Vecepia are lying. Let's say they are. They should be lying. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I applaud them in this moment, where it's like, yeah, Kathy, I'm questioning why you chose the side you did, and I guess you can make certain arguments in the other direction for sure. But for me, it's like, this is what you should be doing if you are this pair. Coming in and being united front does not help you.
Yeah, and comparing the two sides of, you know, whether you want to say like there is an argument for siding with Nilay and Pascal here is a separate issue, but it is hard to ignore that this is the decision that Kathy makes after seeing how both Sean and Vecepia react to this dilemma versus Nilay and Pascal, who kind of just restate the fact that, yeah, we are not splitting up. We are never voting for each other, which is really just not the way in the Survivor that we know today, to try to sway somebody over to your side, especially at this stage in the game. But this decision immediately bites her in the ass, which makes me so happy, because what happens next episode in the finale, final four? Sean is gone. Nalea, Pascal, and Kathy are all super happy, and Vecepia knows that she is next. And the only way that Vecepia is going to save herself here is winning immunity. This is, Chappell, one of my favorite moments in the entire Survivor franchise. And the moment that Vecepia reveals her journal, where she has been taking notes on every player that she has played with, all the little facts, because she knows the Final Four challenge is going to be a quiz on all of the other players in the game. And she does not share this information with the other three counterparts, because why would she? But also they seem to think that that would have been something that she would do. So Vecepia is not sharing any of this with her, and she wins. She wins the Final Four immunity challenge, which leads to the purple rock draw, which is where Pascal meets his fate, and he draws the odd color rock, and he is now out of the game. And that's how we get our final three.
Vecepia wins 2 immunity challenges in this season, and that doesn't happen for a Black contestant again until Survivor Samoa, I think. And that's Jason.
Yeah, Jason. I'm trying to. Yeah, I think that is the next time it happens.
I mean, like that's why when people are talking about Vecepia, I get like how could you not like the things that she does? It's unheard of. Like,
I don't know. First of all, Marquesas was aired today. This journal scene would get so many fan reels. Let's just, and I would be making like at least half of them. But
yeah, for sure.
Yes, but I feel like this moment in Survivor is not highlighted enough, because this is how you set yourself apart from your competition. It's her thinking outside the box and realizing, okay, I know what is coming up. I know at some point in the game, if I make it this far, which she did, I'm going to need to know information on all the other players. So I'm taking notes of everything, and I am not sharing this information with anybody else. So, and we get this scene, and it starts off with the people that are in the majority saying, hey, you know, we're going to share notes. We're going to study together. You know, so they start talking about each of the players, where they're from, well, how many kids they have, what's their spouse's name, all the stuff you would expect. And Vecepia is originally a part of this conversation too. And they have this moment where they say, do you know where Patricia's from? And Vecepia says, yeah, I think it's this town. It
Sometimes
starts
with
with
an
like a
L.
T or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
T
something like that. So she's playing it off, and I believed her when I first watched this. I'm like, girl, where is Patricia from? I don't know
Right.
either. Like, and I have like the bios right in front of me. Cut to Vecepia's confessional, and this is really like the wham line for me of like, oh no. She is one of the greats here.
I'm not gonna sit there and try to compare notes with those guys. This community is too important for me. I know where Patricia's from, but that's why I said I think it starts with an L. I know exactly where she's from. One of the goals that I had while I was here was to develop a relationship with everyone and know as much as I can about them. The good thing about it is that a lot of the stuff I wrote down in my little book.
Air Force is correct. V wins immunity.
This is her like victory arc for me, and it's glorious here. And this really is the part where it's Vecepia is the winner of Survivor Marquesas. How do you all not see it?
She secures herself a final 2 in this moment with Kathy, who did not have a final 2, right? Kathy just betrayed her and kind of went with Pascal and Nalia. Yes. But by doing this as well, she not only does she like secure herself going to the end with Kathy, but she gets this pair to break up. You know, there's no way that Pascal and Nalia are going to vote against each other. So this tie is the only way that they can get him out. And they don't even know that that's the way. It was just like, it's the best chance we have to keep Kathy around, who will take you to the final 2, and get rid of one of Pascal and Nalia who won't. You know, again, she's not making any missteps in the game. And that will lead her to going into the final 3 with everyone thinking that she will automatically take Kathy to the end because she said she would. You know, she said, okay, let's do a final 2 to get through that round. Once it's time for her to make that decision, she quickly pivots because you have to be able to beat the person you're sitting next to at the end. And she probably looked at Kathy as a person that was going to be harder to beat. And so when Nalia goes and is about to beat her or about to go in this, I guess, in this hands on a hard idol challenge, you know, it's her versus Nalia. Vecepia knows that I don't have to necessarily win the challenge if I could convince Nalia to just take me to the final 2 and I can just beat her. Because chances are, Vecepia, had she won, she's probably just going to take Nalia anyway, you know, and Nalia, to her credit, was going to take Vecepia. You know, at this point, Kathy is just praying that Vecepia makes the misstep of winning this and taking her to the end. And that is not what Vecepia is going to do.
And I love this part as well because we have obviously the, you know, it's no secret that Kathy is like the fan favorite of this season. We know it. This is her season really in terms of like a fan favoritism here. But Vecepia is a game player here, and she is playing like a modern Survivor player, like someone that has seen 20 seasons of the show, and there's only been 4 out at this time. She said, I am going to forget, you know, let bygones be bygones. I will have a final 2 with the person on the outs of that unbreakable duo. Kathy survives the rock draw. And the moment that Kathy is out, Vecepia doesn't have to pretend anymore. And she says, you know, if I give you immunity, take me to final 2. Nalia says, okay. This is seen from some people as a betrayal of Kathy. And I guess in a way it is like she did go back on her deal. But I feel like final 2 deals made 48 hours ago are not legally binding. You know, like I'm fine. Like this is just the right thing to do at this point. And this is the correct person that Vecepia wants to be sitting next to in the final 2 anyway, that being Nalia.
What's the point of not going back on the deal? Like, what do you want? Like, you want like some type of ribbon or something like that? Like, well, like think about the alternative. Colby goes to the end with Tina knowing he will lose, and then he loses.
Yeah. This is the same type of argument that people give for like the car deal with Dreams and Yao-Man of like, Dreams should have, and this is often, I will say, this is often an argument specifically reserved for Black players here, right? Because I don't think most Survivor fans say that. I guarantee you, if you ask like 100 Survivor fans, 90 of them are going to say Colby made the wrong decision taking Tina to the final 2. It gave us a great winner, but he made the decision knowing he would lose to her, and that's exactly what happened. But when we get people like Vecepia going back on her deal with Kathy, or Dreams going back on her deal with Yao-Man, it's always this sense of, well, they shouldn't have done that, or that was a dirty move, or this is something, they should have done something differently, or they should have, that they're not deserving of the placement they got. And this is something really, an argument really only made for Black players that outplay a fan favorite. And it's disheartening, but that's part of the reason why we did Bet on Black and why we made this podcast, is because we want to give Vecepia her flowers for what an incredible player and strategist she is, and remember her for the strong contender and the incredible winner that she is.
I've never heard anybody be critical of Denise cutting Malcolm.
They would never. Yeah.
They were day one allies. They were on the same tribe together since day one. They whittled down their tribe to the last two people. They split up at the swap, and they come back together. They worked together the entire time, and she cut him, and people celebrate her, and she won that season.
I've never seen people have criticism for the players of Survivor China for voting out James Clement with 2 idols in his pocket. But they were all allies they were all allies from day one.
Yeah.
What's that about?
This is a good move from Vecepia, and it should be celebrated. And I will say this, that she goes on, and although this final tribal council is bitter and very pious of a lot of the people who are on this jury, Vecepia is still going to get the win here in a 4-3 win. And I'd say that 4-3 makes it sound closer than it actually is. The fact that she was able to come in here and get people from the opposite side, like she comes in automatically, let's say with Sean's vote, they bonded to that point. Maybe they had a final 2 deal. Maybe they had a like ride or dies. Maybe they're like Pascal and Nalia. Nalia's coming in with Pascal's vote automatically. Let's say Vecepia is coming in with Sean's vote. All the rest of the votes she gets, the other 3 votes, she has to get them. These people did not play with her. Like they weren't on her beginning tribe. These are Nalia's beginning tribe mates. And they voted across enemy lines for Vecepia. Because they saw Nalia's game up close and they were not impressed. And they saw Vecepia's game up close. They heard her at the tribal council owning her, most of her moves. I don't think she owned everything, but she was owning most of her moves. And I think John Carroll says it's like, it's not my style of gameplay, but it's still good gameplay. And she ends up winning 4-3.
Yes. And I think that's perfectly said. It's a rough tribal council. It's not the roughest that we are going to talk about on Bet on Black. Not even close. But this is kind of what you expect from old school Survivor. The juries are a little more bitter than they are in a lot of modern day Survivor seasons. But this is some of the moments that really structure the game. And Vecepia holds her own here, and this is why she wins. And I love that for her. But also I love that for the Survivor fandom, for Black Survivor fans, for Black reality TV fans in particular, because Vecepia's road to $1 million was not an easy one, but it is one that is full of intentional choices, and that's something that we really want to drive home with the Bet on Black episode that covers Vecepia.
Right. She betrays Kathy so she doesn't get Kathy's vote. She was never going to get Pascal's vote. And then for some random reason, Zoe, the votes for Nalia, whatever. She did what she had to do to win the game. She doesn't make a lot of missteps, if any, that I can really see. This is early on. A lot of this gameplay we had never seen before. The fall of the Road to 4 is a big moment in Survivor history, but Vecepia is a big part of that legacy. And then we will see that years later, people like Marianne will go on to win the game, and they will talk about how Vecepia was part of the reason why they knew that they could go in and win the game. She's an icon. She never gets her flowers in a way that we would like her to have or whatever. But anytime we can highlight Vecepia, that's what we're gonna do.
Agreed. Now, before we get into, we have 2 final pieces in here, but I want to do a brief question for both of us before we get into those pieces in here. Let me pull up I have my iPad in front of me, so I need to just pull up the outline I sent you. What, Chappell, are your top 3 moments of Vecepia? Just in general, any part of Vecepia lore.
Well, one, the fact that she wins 2 immunity challenges in this season, tying for the most with Kathy, and I think maybe I forgot who the other person who won 2. And that doesn't happen again for a very long time, where 3 contestants are tied for the most. So she wins the most immunities in this season. Also, her and Sean's whole friendship is very fun to watch, but she's good in confessional. Vecepia is very funny. I think the confessional that stands out the most is the Sarah confessional, where she's like,
Sarah has a very cute body. She paid a lot for it. And if you have it, of course, flaunt it. I do not think that Sarah is using her body to get through this game, but I do think that if she connects with the right individual, then that will definitely help her get through.
and by saying that, this wasn't Vecepia body shaming her for having augmentation or accusing her of using her body for her benefit. Because the question was, do you think that she's using her body to get it farther in the game? Vecepia says
what are
no.
your thoughts on Sarah thinking that the Christian woman could never understand why Vecepia or why Sarah would be flirty like this?
And she thought that she would say something negative about her, like, oh, well, as a Christian, I could never. She says no, she's probably not using her body to do that, but she's looking to make connections with people. And if those connections can take her further, that's what she's going to do. Vecepia was funny without being mean. And you don't see that a lot on reality TV.
I'm so glad you said that moment in particular, because first of all, you're right. She is a great confessionalist, but I actually have it saved in my phone for when I put on cute outfits, so I can attach it to it. It'd be like, if you have it, of course, flaunt it. Exactly. Mother said I could flaunt it, and that I will. I love that
what
moment.
Are your standout Vecepia moments aside from that obvious one that you have on your phone?
I mean, that's number one. My real number one, which we've already talked about, the journal reveal. We know that she has a book of poetry, is I think how it's worded on the show. But I think that this is really kind of like a game breaking type of move here to use, and other players have done something similar, but not to this level where you're thinking about Colby using the Texan flag as a tarp. She used her journal as a way to keep herself in the game by taking notes on other people. And I think this shows just the out of the box thinker that Vecepia is. I think her winning her second immunity is also is my second one here, because that was an incredible moment. And there's a few. I love her. I mean, any moment with Sean and Vecepia as a duo, I think is incredible. I love her first real quote of the first tribal council where she's talking about how she finds strength in God. I think that was a really great moment to see kind of what type of player that Vecepia was going to be. But I think I'll go with her betraying Kathy at the final immunity challenge. She has so many good moments. I feel like I'm not doing her full justice by picking 3 finale moments in particular, but they really are the ones that stand out to me as oh no, she is that girl. This is why she is winning. This is my bestie, the millionaire Vecepia. That is really where we're this is the it girl. We love her for it. So I think those would be my 3, but there's a bunch of them. And once this episode comes out, I will probably add comments to it of I also thought of 10 other moments that are now also part of my top 3.
Yeah, she's the first under the radar winner, I guess, and by saying under the radar, she's under edited. I'm sure her game is right there, it's not it's anything oh, we didn't see her making all these moves. No, it was right there. The things that she did was very public, but they weren't able to stop her. And that's pretty much, my vision of Vecepia's game, the way I've always looked at it. Now she does talk about in interviews how she wasn't talking, and we see this a lot with a lot of the Survivor players that do well, who get under edited, is that they weren't saying a lot of their strategy in the confessionals. Now you ask yourself why that is, but there's a lot of people who come on reality TV because they want to be on reality TV. They come here, they want to be TV stars. They're going to say the thing. You're going to get the sound bites. Some people can't help but be the personality hire, as we like to call them. But Vecepia was kind of more weary of production, using her words and twisting them so that they can use that to get other sound bites and really revealing what she's thinking. If Vecepia probably talked openly about her journal and how she was writing stuff down, then they probably would bring it up, oh, what do you think Vecepia wrote in her journal about you? So those are things that you want to play closer to the vest, so that, it isn't like the conversation isn't led in a specific direction. I'm not going to accuse production of like putting their thumb on the scale at all. But if I come to you and say, hey, do you think Vecepia and Sean are going to flip on you? You know, that could put in your head a thought that you never thought before. And so by not saying it aloud often, you know, will allow you to kind of slip that under the radar of even the people who maybe hadn't considered, you know, those moves that you were going to make. You know, we were all trying to figure out how Survivor worked at this time. We're 4 seasons in, but the strategy is still developing. And so by keeping a lot of it to herself, you know, she does get an edited season despite being the winner. And so her game will go on to be remembered as under the radar.
Yes. And I would also say, I think that it made even though I think she deserved way more screen time in her edit, especially as the winner, but also, as you said, she was a very funny confessionalist, and I wish they highlighted that more. I do think hiding the journal made for a way better reveal when it became relevant to the story. So I was I wish this was like the moment that they really highlighted as like, bam, like this is your winner of season 4 of Survivor. But they didn't drive it home, and that's on production. They should have made this a bigger deal than they actually did. But that's okay, because that's our job now. We make the big deal out of it for them. That is why we have Bet on Black. And thank you, Sean, for that very iconic quote for Bet on Black, because that is the inspiration for this whole empire that we have here. All right, Chappell, are you ready for your quiz?
Sure.
Okay, so I put on here that there was going to be a trivia portion here. But the good news is that there are one of 2 answers. So there's only 2 answers that you can go with here.
Okay.
So and maybe a clue for you for what our next episode's trivia will be.
God. Okay.
So Bet on Black Trivia, episode 1, is titled Sean or Vecepia. So, what I am going to do, I have 10 questions here, and the answer is going to be either Sean or Vecepia. And you will answer them, and then I'll give you your final score at the end.
Okay.
We have already talked about some of these, so I wouldn't be too nervous here. Ready?
I'm a bad test taker, so we'll see.
It's okay. It's okay. We start with some easy ones, don't you worry. And also, like, you know this topic, you'll be fine. All right, question 1. Which player successfully voted out Boston Rob?
Oh, Vecepia.
Vecepia, yes. So, see, you already got one. You're 1 for 1 now.
Got one.
All right. Question 2. Which player was on a tribe with every contestant of their season?
Vecepia.
Technically, it is both. But I will give you, yes, I gave you a trick. See, I was going to save it for the end, but then you brought it up, so I moved it a little bit. But since you said it in the episode when you were off book, I will give you that point.
All right, cool.
Which player won the car reward?
Oh, Sean won the car reward. And for some reason, the show decided to give everybody a car in the finale.
I hate them for that.
I mean, maybe he got 2, so there you go.
That'd be nice, but still, that was gross. And honestly, though, let Rosie O'Donnell host every reunion.
She was never seen again after this. Survivor lost her number very quickly.
I don't care. I thought it was my favorite reunion yet. Survivor 50, take notes. Question. Okay, you're 3 for 3 now. And and we've already talked about this one, so I think you'll be okay. Which player was the first Black contestant to ever win more than one immunity challenge?
Hey, Vecepia.
It was Vecepia. So Vecepia is the first Black. So Jervis is the first Black player to win any immunity challenge ever, an individual immunity challenge. And that would be followed by Nick, who won an immunity challenge in Survivor Australian Outback. And then Vecepia would be the first Black woman to win an immunity challenge, and an individual immunity challenge, I should say. And she became the first Black player to win more than one immunity challenge. So she's got a couple Survivor firsts in there. outside of being just the first Black woman to win. And I say just, like, that's such a small achievement, but
She got a lot of achievements.
We're not here because we think that Vecepia has small achievements, you know?
Right.
Yes. All right. This is one I didn't know. Who never went on a reward trip?
Oh, Vecepia. She never won a reward, and she never went to any of them.
Yep, she never went on a reward during her time in Survivor.
Yeah, because Sean went on a reward with Pascal of all people.
I know. I think, and he was not picked for that. That was the one where they were like forced in pairs to compete together. Oh, poor Sean. Ready? Whose luxury item was a Bible?
Ooh.
Right.
I mean,
this is hard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if Vecepia's is the journal, then I guess Sean's is the Bible, right?
Yep, Sean's is a Bible. I did not know what his luxury item was, because they never bring. The earlier seasons bring up people's luxury items a lot, and they didn't say anything about Sean's, so I didn't even know what his was. But that seems like something Vecepia could have brought too, if her luxury item wasn't like a major plot point of the finale.
Right. Imagine like Vecepia's like, I brought this Bible, but I've been writing in it this whole time. You know, like, I don't think it plays as well on TV.
I mean, it certainly can't be worse than Rudy's toilet paper comment in season 1. Like, I feel like that's in terms of Survivor's relationship with Bibles, it's taking some notes in there. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, you are 6 for 6 now. And number 7, whose loved one from the loved ones reward was named Daryl?
Sean.
Yes.
I think
so. Vecepia's
husband came, right?
Yeah. So Vecepia's husband, Leander. I think they was. So he was there, and Sean's friend Daryl was also there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I remember her husband having a name that wasn't like, you know, it's running.
I remember it being. I'm like, oh, this is like a spicy name. I like.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like very regal. All right. This one's a little trickier. If you have Wikipedia, X out of it.
I don't.
So, who received votes at Tribal Council first? They both received votes at Tribal Council at one point, but who got votes first?
That is tough. Vecepia.
It is Sean, and
okay.
So I thought Vecepia, because I believe her name was thrown around in one of the pre-merge episodes when Maramu was still the personality tribe. And so I believe her name was thrown around, but she actually didn't receive votes at any of the pre-merge tribal councils on Maramu and Rotu. And then Sean didn't receive any votes either until the John boot. That was Sean was the
Rotu Force
vote. Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
Yeah, and then Vecepia did not receive votes until Tammy's boot episode.
Yeah, at that point they were just bitter.
Yeah, they were just a little mad at that point, but you know, that Tammy's voted for her to win, so we'll forgive you, Tammy.
Yeah.
And actually I think Robert voted for her to win too. Yeah, it was Tammy and Robert that voted for Vecepia, so we'll forgive them.
Yeah, I mean, look, the only people who didn't were Kathy, who was just betrayed, Pascal, who is Pascal, and Tammy, because.
No, Zoe.
I'm sorry, Zoe, because you know. So,
but you know, Tammy and Robert, you pulled through here. Yeah. And then that was actually that's the only tribal council that Vecepia received votes against her. So.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah. So we got one wrong, but that was a hard one. Ooh. I would have put money on the fact that Vecepia got votes in pre-merge, or at least one of them.
Yeah.
But okay. That's okay. Well, one wrong out of 8 so far, and you're almost done. Who celebrated their birthday during their time on Survivor?
Vecepia, and she cried a little bit about it too. She was it was a tough birthday for her.
Sean did like the little he went into the tree mail and did the little birthday little birthday magic in there.
Yeah.
That was such a nice one. Yes. So Vecepia, I think she's the second winner to celebrate her birthday. And she might be the second contestant. I can't remember. Yeah. So I got to look that up. But Richard Hatch also celebrated his birthday. That's where his birthday suit came in.
Gotcha.
But, yes. All right. And there's one last question left. And this is one I had no idea about until I started reading some people's Survivor fan wiki pages.
Okay.
Who applied to be on Survivor on the advice of Big Brother's Mike Boogie?
To me, there's no way Mike Boogie knows Vecepia. So I'm gonna go with Sean because I just like to believe that she's never come in contact with Mike Boogie. Like I need to live in a world where they've never met.
They were buddies. You didn't know?
I hope not.
It is Sean. Sean applied on the advice of Mike Boogie. Apparently they were roommates at one point. Which also, I made that face too when I read this. I'm like, there's no way. And I clicked on, I'm like, there's got to be another Mike Boogie.
There's got to be another Mike
How'd
Boogie.
we get here? But nope. So apparently they were roommates, and Boogie encouraged Sean to apply to be on Survivor.
That's crazy. But okay.
So Mike Boogie did a grand total of 1 good things in his life and time on reality TV. So thank you, Mike Boogie. That's the only time I'll ever say that.
He gets his 10s on that one, you know.
I'll give him his 6s for that.
he ate that one little thing.
Yes, he ate that one thing. So Chappell, with that, you scored a 90.
Hey.
You only got the votes at who received votes at tribal council first, so that's still an A-. I say that, and we grade, we round up here, we grade on a curve, so it's basically an A+.
It's 100. I got it all. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So I had no doubts. This is like our subject, but it was good. I'm glad. So study up for when we do Fiji, because there's a lot more options there.
Well, Gia, this was so much fun. It was great breaking down Vecepia's game, talking about the Marquesas as well, but talking about Survivor with you is always a good time. We will be back soon with more Bet on Black, but until then, Gia, tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find the Substack, because that's really why we're here.
Yes. So first, I want to say with this episode, we are inducting Vecepia into our Bet on Black Hall of Fame. So we will get some, I'm not exactly sure how it will look like, but we'll do, I'll do a article specifically highlighting Vecepia at some point. I have a few projects in the works on Bet on Black Substack, so that might not be out quite soon, but it will be something that we are working on. It is in my Google Docs, like halfway done right now. So we'll do a whole thing on it. But Bet on Black is the name of the Substack that I am using to write about just Blackness in reality TV in general. So it's not Survivor specific. Chappell and I won't just be talking about Black Survivor players. We'll be expanding into some other reality TV players as well. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to cover a couple other winners, depending on what our schedules look like moving forward. But this is not the last of our Bet on Black segments here. And follow me on Substack. It is just titled Bet on Black. I just posted an article a few days ago regarding Survivor's choice to not follow the 50% BIPOC rule that they had pledged to follow for Survivor 50. And we will have some other stuff coming out as we are preparing for this landmark season here. So definitely follow us on Bet on Black. Chappell and I will be recapping Abbott Elementary once it comes back. I think it comes back in 2 weeks. We think we have 1 more week before we get Abbott Elementary back. And I'll be back on Silent Podcast to do bi-weekly recaps on Survivor 50 with LaTanya Stark. So we are very excited to return for that as well. And I think, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Classically Gia.
All right. Thank you so much, Gia. This has been a great time as usual. We got so much other Recap Kickback content coming your way. If you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully this is an evergreen video that people will go to and watch for from now until the end of time. But if
I imagine it, like, not to oversell us, but I imagine that's what it will be used for.
Yeah, like this is the official, like you said, lexicon of these Black Survivor contestants, and we're gonna try to or Black reality TV contestants even, and so we're gonna try to commemorate them by keeping these videos coming. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, recapkickback.com/subscribe. But check us out here on YouTube, youtube.com/@recapkickback, where we are going to chronicle all of these Black contestants and more. Let us know in the comments who else we should talk about. It doesn't have to be Survivor. If you were a Survivor fan but you like other shows, other reality TV competition shows, let us know and we will do a deep dive to talk about your fave. And if you can't get in contact with us in the comments, which you should be able to, make sure you join our Facebook page, recapkickback.com/Facebook, and let us know what you want to see us talk about. Gia, that's it.
It does not have to be a winner either. I think to start, we have a couple winners specifically that we really want to discuss, and because their game lasts through the entire season. But we will definitely be talking about some other greats in the reality TV world as well. So if you have someone you really want to hear us talk about, no matter what their placement is, include it. I'm sure we will. Chappell and I are yappers, so we can definitely find 90 minutes to kill talking about any of our favorite contestants.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But that's it for Gia and myself. Tune in next time, and always remember to bet on Black. Peace.
Yes.
I've been trapped behind Maria, isolated like it's North Korea. Smaller city with some bigger dreams. The wall is cracked, I'm looking in between it. The world is yours, but man, I gotta see it. They say it's hard, but man, I gotta see it. The air I'm breathing can't feel my chest. Wait on life, I wanna hold my breath. I'ma get in my goddamn self.